What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I host the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And through that collaboration, I've been able to reach out directly or indirectly to over 75,000 fathers in the world this year. And I am the board chair of the Global Food and Drink Initiative, which is a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. And here he is, the man, the legend of Media Empire, Ryan Knight. What's going on?
Media Empire in process, still working on it, and interning under the master, Dr. Vibe. Always happy to be with you on the Morning Vibe. For those that don't know me, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, figuring out what stage they are in their business journey and helping them to create a blueprint to grow their companies exponentially. And of course, I'm an entrepreneur myself. I run the Detail Ignites, a mobile waterless car cleaning company that comes to your house or to your office, clean your car without using water, and eco-friendly plant-based products. And of course, our youth entrepreneurship program is in its second, so it's kind of winding down. We're in our second phase. That's the fall component where students are working on the weekends and evenings. So shout out to Taj, Torian, and Nathan, our newest recruit, who started as an ACBN intern or co-op student and then was interested in a part-time job. I said, hey, do you want to learn how to start your own business? He said yes, so he jumped right in with both feet. So excited to see his initiative and ambition.
Excellent. How was the weekend, by the way?
So I woke up from my Netflix coma. I caved and started watching Squid Game.
Oh, geez.
Spoiler alert. No spoilers, but one thing I have to mention, it's interesting to see Asians on screen fighting and not using Kung Fu. So I'm curious how the Asian community feels about them not always being portrayed as martial artists, and it was just like straight up street fighting. But not to give away what's happening in the show, but one question that comes out of that show is, what's your price? What would you do for money, especially when you're in dire straits? Like what's your limit to say, hey, you cannot buy me? And I know I talk a lot about that with the Black community and organizations being, I don't want to say silenced, but when money flows, people tend to get quiet. So I'm curious if you ever thought of, hey, what's my price?
Squid Games. Haven't watched an episode, not planning to watch an episode. I'll let you, since you're a media mogul and you need to know all things media, you can watch all that stuff. Just one other thing. What is it like in your entrepreneur business working in this cooler weather?
Well, it's the off and on rain. The cool weather you could deal with. You could always dress for the occasion. But when it just starts pouring, like yesterday, Nathan and I were actually working on a car, and it like downpoured for 5 minutes, and then it just stopped. So you just wait it out. But the unpredictable weather always throws me off.
Okay, well, it's not about us today, folks. We have a special guest. And let me give you a little bit of background. So Nature Canada, in partnership with Parks Canada, has launched the Work to Grow program. And it is for employers in Canada's nature sector to employ Black, Indigenous, and other racialized youth. So what we're going to do first, we're actually going to show you the website for those who are interested on what it looks like. And we're also going to give the link. So just waiting for something to show up here. All right, here we go. There we go. So secure the bag and protect nature. I like the tagline, secure the bag,
yes,
and protect nature. And this is the website. I'd like to do a little visual thing for everybody. Get on the list. submit. So again, and they've got FAQs at the bottom, and it's a very simple process to get involved. You know, between the ages of 15 and 30, you're legally entitled to work in Canada. You're a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or have been granted refugee status, and you identify as Black, Indigenous, or a person of refugee status. So that's the backdrop of our conversation today. And so we're going to take that. And also, I'm going to just, as we're getting ready to speak with our special guest, that is the website address for those who are interested. And, you know, basically, naturecanada.ca/work to grow. And that'll get you some more information. All right. Part 1 is done. Now, part 2. We have a very special guest whose organization is involved with this program, and it's Naolo Charles. And let me give you a little bit of background about him. He's the founder of the Black Environmental Initiative, BE Initiative. It's an organization that promotes the environmental engagement and protection of Black and Brown communities. Naolo advocates for more diversity in the environmental sector, more environmental benefits in the BIPOC communities, and nature-based opportunities for racialized youth. He also has co-founded the Canadian Coalition and Climate for Environmental and Climate Justice with Dr. Ingrid Waldron, a coalition that's meant to support racialized communities affected by the environmental injustices. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because this is a subject that, let alone in the general media, but not too much even in the Black environment, gets talked about a lot. So we're really happy to have our special guest. Naolo, how are you this morning?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me today.
Awesome. Our pleasure. How's your morning going?
It's great. It's nice to have you guys, and I really like your introduction. It was really
well. It's most really, of it's about you.
Really funny. No, I mean the introduction about the movie, Netflix, and all that stuff. That was entertaining.
You mean you're more interested about the Squid Games than your organization? Okay, we can just slow it down. We'll put some videos up, and we'll just show that. Come on now. So, are you a fan? Are you interested in this Squid Games?
No, I heard a lot of truth. I heard a lot of truth in what you said when you say sometimes when money flows, people get silence. I find this an interesting comment. Yeah.
Well, that's why Ryan's my mentor.
Right. Whatever.
That's why he's
Yes.
Well, look. First of all, thanks for taking the time to share with us, and as we like to do with all our friends, especially people who are on for the first time. Can you share a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Naolo Charles. I'm the founder of BE Initiative. So outside of this, I'm just, I would say I'm a first generation immigrant. So I came to Canada on my own about 18 years ago. I was in Montreal before. I'm a Francophone. I came here as a student, ended up deciding to live here in Canada, do my life here. Studied communications first, then I ended up doing a master's in environment, and that's how I got into this sector. Studying the environment. There's a whole story why I started these studies, but looking at the sector and seeing how white it was and how there wasn't that much Black representation and diverse representation in the sector, directly led me to the creation of BE Initiative.
Wow. Where did the interest at a young age or whatever age it came in, where did the interest in nature come from? Because that's not, let's say, it's not the usual thing for people who look like us.
I wouldn't say that.
Well,
so I
okay.
wouldn't, so I wouldn't say that. So I would say, first of all, I've always been interested in nature. I come from a family where we are interested in nature. I think the notion that Black people are not interested in nature is part of the problems we're trying to fix. Just like any other types of humans, we like nature. We enjoy nature. Every time that people want to do fun activities, where do they go? They go to beaches, they go to parks. It's just human behavior. What I would say, however, is that the environmental studies and environmental sector is not typically a sector that attracts Black people, or we don't see a lot of Black people being leaders in that sector. And there's all type of reasons for that. For me, it was a personal story that brought me to caring about this. Black people care about social justice, about social injustice, about everything that's social, and I've always been that. I've always cared about that. But something happened that made me realize that environmental issues are a big part of social issues. In 2015, back in my country where I come from in West Africa, there was a boat called the Probo Koala that was uh, that contained nuclear waste uh, created in Europe, and they were looking for a place to just dump it. And at the time in my country, we were having like a civil war, and it was instability in the country. And so someone took an envelope somewhere, and basically they decided to dump it in the middle of my town. So in some of the new developments close to my parents' house. So when that happened, that's a story you can Google. It's called Probo Koala, and they had a trial that lasted over 10 years before the company was asked to actually pay any compensation to the people who got sick. So when that happened, it just made me wonder, how is that possible that waste created outside of my continent, somewhere else, arrives to right in front of my parents' house? So it's just that curiosity that got me to go and try to study the question, and here we are.
And that's such a massive example of what's your price. It's like
Yeah,
somebody willing to just ignore public safety. And I know with I used to work at a car company and they're a call center, and there's like a ratio. And I remember in Fight Club they talked about this too. The guy that was in it, he determined, is it more costly to just let people get into accidents because of a default, or like pay or fix and have a recall? So somebody did the calculation to
yeah,
say
yeah,
the
yeah.
money that we're going to take and the fallout from it is less of a risk than actually letting them dump in our community. And the fact that a person's mindset is there shows that we're not taking the environment seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what you've seen or what you've been able to instill to change that mindset. Are you seeing more governments being held accountable for those types of agreements, or is it still like a very, like we're at the beginning stages of fighting that battle?
Well, quite frankly, just myself, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't think I have the power to do this. However, if you look at the mobilization that happened recently when it comes to social justice in society, it added a new type of risk. So if you, just to follow up on what you're saying, now, because of all this mobilization about George Floyd and all this conversation, now there's a new type of risk. People don't want to be seen publicly as being racist organizations
Right.
or as supporting racist institutions. So that's why this mobilization matters, because it definitely can change behaviors. I think programs like the Work to Grow program came out of that movement. We have to be honest. The reason why organizations like Nature Canada and many others have designed programs like that is because of the awakening that we had in the last 2 years. That was also coupled with COVID-19, and so there's a realization in the environmental sector right now that they haven't been doing much when it comes to Black and Brown communities.
Exactly.
It, I want to know, just aside, coming from your birth home to Canada, how much of an adjustment was that for you?
Well, first, I mean, I've always been I would say what they call a globetrotter. I wasn't even born in Africa. I was actually born in Europe because my parents
Okay.
themselves were immigrants as well. So I was
All
born
right.
in France, and then I immigrated back to my own country and grew up there, and then lived in many other places. So I would say this process of constant immigration and moving the way that it affected me is giving me maybe a global identity and identifying to global issues. That's what I would say. That's that I although I really care about local issues, I really always think about things in a global way. And I identify to humanity as a whole and to all the environmental issues that we have. This is why I care about them. And I think that's a very important point because we live in a world where more and more we are adopting local, close-minded mindsets. I'm not saying local is bad, but we definitely have mindsets where we only think about the issues that we are experiencing, and we're not looking at the global aspect of these issues, and that's a big problem. So for me, when we look at environmental issues, it's really about what's happening to the world. It's not just what's happening to the Black community. It's about what's happening to the world as a whole. And I'm doing this work just as a human being, not even just as a simple human being. That's why I think we need to do something about it.
And I'm curious around, what do you feel needs to be done to get people to realize the ripple effect that we have? Because yes, we can buy stuff on Amazon, even just using our phones, we don't realize the actual mining that takes place in order to create a phone. So is like, what have you been thinking of how to change people's mindset to think more globally and understand the ripple effect that things we want and have here are affecting people on the other side of the world in a negative way?
I think it's an interesting question because I actually did a research project specifically on that question. So
Okay, right,
when I
right.
did my research, I mean, I know the conversation today is not about this, but when I did my research, I was studying exactly that, the origin of products. And, I tried to specialize in taking one product and telling the entire, what they call, life cycle story of a product.
Right.
And but the reason why I studied this was connected to the story I told you earlier, where I was trying to understand how this came in front of my parents' house. So I was trying to understand the whole chain of events.
Yes.
My thinking is that the information is already out there. There's a lot of course, education is important, but the information is out there. A lot of people know about these things. We all know about these things. The big issues we have right now is not really just the lack of knowledge, is that how do we move from knowledge to action? And that's the hard part. There's a lot of interests that are against this movement and this transition, and that are manufacturing a society where we're just paralyzed and we're not going to do anything about it. We can be even paralyzed by entertainment. We can be paralyzed by distractions. We're paralyzed by all type of things. So even if you give all the knowledge to people, it doesn't mean that it's going to empower them to uh, do the action. There's all type of other changes that need to happen in society in terms of personal development and in terms of the way we understand each other. I just think we need to stop being put against each other, like what's going on. Every election cycle, we talk about immigration, racism, and it's always the same thing. But we need to stop doing this, and we need to look at what's happening at the global scale. And we also need to look at the opportunities, not just the threats of climate change, but what does a world that is actually adopting the right solutions look like. A lot of people don't know about that, however. So that there's a lot of opportunities that are extremely inspiring. That if people see, maybe they will be out of this paralysis caused by the fear and the the anxiety.
Well, we are going to take a short little break from this epic conversation. And on the other side of the break, what we're going to be chatting about is a few things. We'll get Naolo to talk about how did he start this organization? What does this organization do? Also, how has the partnership with the Work to Grow, or I better get it right. Yes, Work to Grow. I got it right. Work to Grow organization has been beneficial to his organization. And then we're going to go there and ask him if he has experienced any anti-Black racism personally. during this environmental journey, his passion. So you are watching the Morning Vibe with myself and Ryan Knight. We'll be back in just a moment. Keep it locked.
Hi, my name is Ryan Oneil Knight, the founder of Detailing Nights and one of the founding members of ACBN Canada. Our vision is to help unite and educate Afrocentric entrepreneurs so they can grow their businesses in a successful and sustainable way. We're helping businesses increase their sales and operations by providing networking, training, and consulting. So as a business owner myself, I found it difficult to find like-minded individuals, especially in my own community, that were doing things on a regular basis to help our businesses grow. ACBN Canada is that solution. We've created this community to surround your business with support to help you increase your sales and your profits. With expert workshops and masterminds to help keep you accountable, come and join us and really get to the next level.
All right, folks, we are back. Vibe and Night. Vibe and Night. I like that. Vibe and Night.
Ooh, that should be a
brand.
That's
There you go. Vibe and Night. Back with Naolo Charles of the Black Environment Initiative on the Morning Vibe, October 18th. So, Naolo, how did you start this organization? What was the story behind it?
Well, I had the vision for B Initiative about 4 or 5 years ago. At the time, I was working at York University, and I tried to contact all type of people, Black leaders that were in my network, to explain that I thought we should talk more about the environment and Black communities. And unfortunately, I wasn't really successful in doing this. So what I did is I just started the vision myself. I put together my website, put together the whole vision for the organization, and I started recruiting volunteers to try to help me. And something that really made a big difference is when I started a partnership with Dr. Ingrid Waldron. So for those of you who don't know who Dr. Ingrid Waldron is, she is basically the most powerful, I would say, advocate for environmental justice in Canada. So when we talk about environmental justice, it's a movement that is extremely strong in America, but in Canada, it's very, very early stage. Ingrid Waldron is a professor currently at McMaster University, who did a lot of work, outreach, talking about the issues, environmental issues that are affecting Black communities and Indigenous communities. She's done a lot of work on Indigenous communities as well. People can just go on Netflix and find a documentary she co-produced with the actress now called Elliot Page. That is called "There's Something in the Water." So you can go
I've heard
and
of that.
watch this documentary. Yeah,
Okay.
and this documentary it will tell you the stories, many stories, stories of Indigenous communities in Canada that are facing environmental racism, and also stories of Black communities in Nova Scotia that are facing environmental racism. So I think seeing, for instance, Louise, who is one of the main character in the documentary, tell the story of how she grew up with these people and now they're all dying from cancer, and everyone is dying from cancer, and you see it. I think that kind of wakes people up to the issue of environmental racism. So I'm really grateful for Ingrid's work and what she's been doing and what she's continuously doing right now. So I started the initiative, but my partnership with her really helped emphasize the message, because I don't have a platform, no one knows me, but people know her. So we started working together, and we started a coalition together that that has collected over 50 to 60 organizations who are all passionate about environmental justice. So I can say a lot more about this, but just to say that's about, I would say, the energy in B Initiative really, really came I had this vision a long time ago, but the energy that led us to start doing some things and getting some resources really came from that contact with Ingrid, and how he was able to help us reach out to a wider audience. Now, why did I create it? I created it for two reasons. The first one is what I think is a lack of diversity in the environmental sector, and it's not just me saying it. There's data. The sector itself recognizes it. There's a lack of diversity. It's a very white sector. The second reason is that when you look at the data, there's a lot of evidence that Black and indigenous communities, racialized communities, are disproportionately impacted by environmental issues. So when you put the two together, there's definitely a gap here. So how come we are the communities mostly impacted by environmental issues, but we are also the less engaged in the environmental sector? We are not targeted by environmental campaigns. So this is why we created the initiative. And I'm seeing now many other similar organizations pop up. And I think there's going to be more of that. We're going to start hearing more on this conversation.
Ryan.
I was curious with these like initiatives starting to pop up, and the conversation on climate change is happening. I'm seeing like the Paris Accords and the G20 having it on their agenda. And I'm seeing a big push for more dollars to be put towards climate change. So do you think that there's any specific amount that people have calculated to say, if we put this amount of money towards climate change, we are going to start to reverse it? Or do you feel like it should just be kind of an open tab and whatever needs to be done to fix the climate should be done? Like, where would you kind of fall in that camp?
Well, I think whatever we have to do, because I think I would bring that back to the question of, does the economy comes before the environment, or does the environment comes before the economy? That's a question that has been a fundamental question since the beginning. And I think one of the mistakes of the capitalist mindset is thinking that the economy comes before the environment. And when we that they call environmentalists come with the other mindset saying, no, the environment comes before the economy, people portray us as being not realistic. But that's the problem. That's the lie. Some of the lies that we are trying to address with the work we're doing. People have to realize that it's actually the opposite, because there's no economy without the environment. Everything that we produce comes from actual products that were given to us by nature. And so there's no companies out there who will survive if the environment is completely disrupted. What's going to happen is that they're going to make a lot of money until things go wrong, and then they're just going to close their company or something. And then we're just going to be left with whatever situation. But we already see it, COVID-19 right now, all the disruptions in the economic system when it comes to the supply of microchips and things like that. Because products are connected to human activity, and all of this is connected. So we cannot. So your question is, I think the question needs to answer itself. It's like, you have no choice to fix the problem, because if you don't fix it, it's gonna disrupt your economic activity anyway.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Let me ask, how did the collaboration start with the Work to Grow program, and how has it amplified your organization and what you're doing?
So quite frankly, the Work to Grow program, and I would say Nature Canada, were one of the first organizations to actually really support us. The biggest grant we ever had came from Nature Canada. We had almost $25,000, and that allowed us to hire 3 interns that are Black young professionals interested in working in the environmental sector, and we're offering them an internship, and we're hosting them in established environmental organizations, not even with us, but with established environmental organizations. and in about 2 weeks they're going to go to COP26, to the United Nations climate conference, which is an
Wow.
experience that we uh, it's an experience that our partners told us that the when you look at the people who went to COP, a lot of them uh, were able to have successful careers in the environmental sector because it's an experience that is really recognized. You can learn a lot. You understand a lot about how environmental issues are addressed. So we thought that's why we designed this project. We thought that was a great opportunity for them. So we pay everything. They don't need to pay anything. They go
Wow.
there
Can I can
and
I
they
can I
spend.
be an intern?
So
I don't
as you
meet
can
the age
see,
requirement.
as you can see in the work to grow program criteria, I don't think that you would fit, but it's okay. Even myself,
Okay.
I don't fit. Even
Okay.
myself, I don't fit, and I would love to participate. So
It's a
I might
huge
actually go, but
opportunity. That's a
yeah,
huge opportunity.
Absolutely.
I do believe, yeah, I do believe it's a big opportunity for them.
Right.
So sorry, I'm just getting a lot of light here.
No
Um,
problem.
so this is what Nature Canada allowed us to do, but it's not just about COP26, because after they go to COP26, they're gonna come back and they're gonna keep working in these environmental organizations, and they're getting paid to do that. And most of them are students or recent graduates, and we're hoping that it's gonna help them launch a career. But on top of that, what Nature Canada is doing is that it's also allowing us to have an influence on the environmental sector. First of all, position the placement of these young professionals in in the sector definitely helps promote diversity in the sector, but it goes beyond that. I'm just gonna ask you to bear with me. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
cut the
yeah,
light there
we're
because
we're
I look like,
we're losing you to the sunlight.
yeah, the sunlight. I don't know if it's gonna help.
No, well, if you say like
Let me
that, oh, okay,
just
no problem.
give me a minute. Yeah, I'm just
It's
gonna
all
move.
right, no problem. So, folks, we're just taking a little bit of time out. We're deflecting. Here's that an environment that someone that's passionate about the environment not wanting to be in the sun. Go figure.
Okay, is it better?
Yes, it's better.
I don't want to look like
All good. All
a
It's
good.
all
bum.
good. It's all good. Go ahead. It's all good. We can see you just fine.
Okay, all right. So, what I was about to say is that the second thing that they're doing on top of creating job opportunities, the second thing that they're doing is that they're participating to influencing the sector into becoming an anti-racist sector. And how do they do it? I personally provide an anti-racism training
Oh,
to the work to grow participants.
very
The
nice.
fact that they selected me to do it is, I think, it shows their commitment to really trying to do something different. Because my personal approach to anti-racism is going even beyond anti-racism. I talk more about decolonization, and we don't talk enough about decolonization. Um,
Hmm.
So I've been fortunate to be able to provide this training, and a lot of people give me great comments on the training, so they really like it. So that's one of the ways that they also help the sector. Um, so, and I think it's important. I think it's extremely important to see an organization like them, and I'm hoping that I can keep collaborating on more programs with Nature Canada.
Ryan, any more questions?
I was just curious, what would be like the initial ways people could get involved? I mean, people listening at home right now are thinking, okay, this sounds great. You're sending interns to the UN conferences, but me at home, what could I do to get started and start to have a more positive impact on the environment, or just to get involved with what your organization is doing?
Well, if you want to get involved with B Initiative, there's many ways. So volunteering is one of the ways. However, we already have a pretty strong team right now that is what we can manage. But the other way that you can support is by spreading the word about the organization and helping us develop the programs that we have, because a lot of the programs we have are planned programs that still don't have resources to be able to be launched effectively.
Right.
So to give you an example, we have one of the programs that we call the I Can Brief program, and we call it this way to as a reference to, of course, the police
George Floyd.
brutality and everything that happened, George Floyd. But we're not just saying I can't breathe. We're saying I can breathe. It's the positive side of it. It's what we're trying to create. So if you look at this program, it's a very complete program that offers interventions at every levels of your life. So if you're a child, if you're a teenager, if you're a student, if you're a professional, and if you are just a member of the community. So if we look, for instance, at these internships we just created, they are part of this program. It's a pilot of this program where we're creating placement opportunities for Black professionals in the environmental sector. But it's not just that. We're looking for partners in all type of sectors, in renewable energy, in all type of industries that are connected to the green transition. So the vision that we have behind this is that if there's going to be really a green transition that's going to create new types of jobs, we want Black people to benefit from it. We want brown people to benefit from it, and we also want any racialized people, immigrants, to benefit from it. So that is the thinking of this program. Also, we want to work with communities. There's not enough programs. There's not enough environmental engagement activities in Black communities and brown communities, and we want to be able to do that. And that's something we can do with the I Can Brief program. And finally, one of the elements that at first we didn't really have that, but we had to build it in the program, is the kids and families involvement, and really about nature activities, loving nature, promoting the passion for nature.
Right.
Because I think the problem that we have when it comes to that, there's this notion that only white people like nature, which is completely, it's just not true. Okay,
Right.
so it's not true. Every human being needs nature. Every human beings appreciate nature, and I would actually say that traditional cultures like African cultures and indigenous cultures
Yes.
have more values that are more nature values, more embedded than typical Western cultures. So I would
Mhm.
say, so maybe when we are transposed here, maybe we hear this narrative, but most normally in our culture, we really have a strong value appreciation for nature, especially if you look at indigenous communities. So this portion of the program is also to try and address this issue of to help people go back to their original self and reconnect with nature, but in the way that they can connect with nature. Because even in the space of nature, the Black experience is different. So white people can go in nature and camp and do all these things, but when we do it, there's some risk associated with it. We know it. We hear the stories of people going in nature, just bird watching us, things like that, and people calling cops. So how do we navigate these green spaces that are probably green spaces, but that are also white spaces? How do we make the green space not a white space, right?
Right.
So these are the important questions, and unfortunately, some of the work is about working with the white environmental sector to get this done, but it's also about working with the Black communities to
Mhm.
talk more about this, so that we stop thinking it's a secondary issue, and that we stop thinking that it's just something that we have to tackle once we tackled everything else that's more important, because
Great.
it's not the case. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's
Well,
great.
as we're starting to wind down here, we do have a question from the audience. from our number one fan, Christopher, asking, I truly believe that the environment is something that needs full and undivided attention. If given $1 million to work towards building awareness and initiatives, etc., what would you do first, second, and I guess thirdly, hypothetically speaking? So Christopher wants to put, theoretically speaking, $1 million, because I don't know if Christopher has it. Yeah, secure the bag for $1 million. What would be the three things that you would do?
So I think you should probably put my email address somewhere there so that if he wants to donate $1 million, it's not going to take that much time, so we can get it done. No, seriously, the first thing I would do, first of all, I would not spend $1 million I would not decide how to spend $1 million just in 1 minute. But if I had to, the first thing I would do is create more jobs. Because what I learned through doing this work is that it's really about creating opportunities for people. So it's not about creating reports. It's not about doing conferences. It's not about all these things. It's about changing the lives of people by giving them opportunities they would not get if we were not there. And this is what we're doing. Although we're a very young organization, just the 3 interns we're hiring right now, I can see how excited they are about the opportunity, and I can see how that can change their lives. And I think that's something I would invest a lot. I would create a lot of jobs for people who don't have opportunities. So I didn't say a lot of jobs for Black people. I said a lot of jobs for people who don't get a lot of opportunities. It's extremely important because sometimes we assume that because a person is Black or because a person is of a certain race, giving them a job is enough. We're trying to give jobs to people who have barriers to employment. We're trying to give jobs to people who don't have opportunities. So this is what we're trying to do. And I think it's important that we always remember that as Black people, because we've lived for so long in this colonization world, we've lived for so long in this racist world, a lot of the rules of this racist system are embedded in us. We in the work that we do, it's fundamental to what we're trying to do. We're trying to do things differently. So we're not going to be just giving opportunities to those who already have opportunities. We're not going to be just giving jobs to those who already have experience. We want to give opportunities to those who don't.
All right.
Excellent.
Before we wrap up, what message would you have to all of us in regards to combating and challenging anti-Black racism in the environmental sector? And do you still face any of it yourself personally?
So I don't like to be a negative person. So I'm not going to be talking about personal experiences, negative personal experiences, but I think people can very simply imagine the type of things we go through or the type of things we went through. So I don't think we need to give names and explain this is what happened. And so the main challenge, however, the main challenge is when these issues become a barrier to funding and to basic operation. That's a big problem, right? Because then we can't be doing what we want to do if we don't have any funding. So this is why having the support of Nature Canada and organizations like that is extremely important. Experiences of racism in the environmental sector, most of the time, I would say for me the keyword is exclusion. Very often feeling excluded from conversations, feeling excluded from spaces, from opportunities. And what we're trying to do is exactly the opposite. We're trying to do the inclusion. So we're trying to include people, and we're trying to make sure that we represent the Black voice. So very often in meetings, we are the only Black representation. And when we talk about diversity, we have to go deeper because there's going to be Indigenous representation. because this country has a long history of indigenous mobilization in the environmental sector, but this country doesn't have a strong history of Black mobilization when it comes to the environmental sector. So what most people have to do is to support that movement, to recognize it, to understand how it's connected to the civil rights movement, and how everything, all these issues are connected, and that people start talking about it and they start valuing it and that they start supporting it. Because quite frankly, B Initiative will not even need government grants or Nature Canada money if the community was supporting it. So it's the type of things where, as a community, it's about, do we actually think of ourselves as a community? Do we actually understand the issues that are affecting us? And right,
Ryan, what's wrong?
You're speaking Dr. Vibe's language. Yes.
Okay, I didn't know, but
no, speak it.
Better.
Okay.
I just want to add one thing. One
Sure.
of the connections we have is the work that B Initiative is doing is we have connections with, I would say, an African diaspora community. So, for instance, we have connections with some groups that are doing environmental justice work in America. Groups like the NACP, the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, and we're part of some networks there. And they have a big appetite for this global mobilization when it comes to environmental justice. And it's important. It's not just Canadian, it's not just American, it's global. So what happens to Black people when it comes to the environmental issues all around the world, we should care. People should care. So the first step is care. If you don't care, inform yourself, educate yourself, and maybe you're going to start caring because you care about something else and you're going to realize that it's connected to what you care about. So educate yourself first. Second, support those who are doing action. It's not just me. I said there's many other organizations I'm seeing. For me, the way I think about this, I don't compete with that. I'm happy when they come up. I'm like, yeah, let's work together because this is important. I can't just myself and my 7 volunteers. We're not going to be able to fix all that. So support these organizations, support people that are doing this, their own things, or start your own thing. Start something. Start conversations. Start in your space about this topic. That's it. I'm not sure what else. If you have money, if you have $1 million, my email is edcharles@binitiative.com.
Well, Naolo, look, first of all, thank you for you being you and being passionate about a topic and subject that many of us need to be more passionate, more aware of. So we appreciate everything you have done, are doing, and you will be doing. You, and I'm speaking your growing team, will be doing going forward. Want to say to everyone, first things first, if you want to find out more about the Work to Grow program, the website address is right here. And thank you for collaborating with them. Thank you for them. Thank you to Convo Media to bringing this to our attention and having you on. Thank you so much. And also, the Black Environmental Initiative, there is a website address right there. Please even just go and read what they're doing. That's a start. As Naolo said, just get educated, find out what's going on, especially from a Black Canadian lens. Find out what and the impact it's having on all of us, not only as Black Canadians, but Canadians, period, and actually globally, everybody. So, Naolo, we want to say thank you so much for taking the time to being with us today. Looking forward to hearing from more informative and also more information on this. And you always have a home here. So personally, you can come back anytime. All right.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. It was really good.
Thank you for your time. More importantly, you have a blessed day. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Solid.
It's interesting. Naolo was talking about the appreciation of the land. And especially when I go outside of North America, a lot of places in North America, in Black areas around the world, the appreciation of the land, like, you and I of Jamaican heritage, we know how much Jamaicans in Jamaica really, a lot of them value the land. And before the pandemic hit, I had an opportunity to spend about 4 or 5 days in Yellowknife Northwest Territories. And what turned out of here more than anything else from Indigenous people? The land.
Right. Yes, yes.
The land. That is like just everything about the land. So really, really great conversation today, and we need to have him back, big time.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Knight, you got something you want to talk about today?
Yes, for those that were able to join the ACBN Business Grant giveaway, it is time to announce the winner. So we are giving away $500 as a grant to a business owner. And let me see if I can share my screen. And they are also going to get tickets to the Real World Film Festival.
What? So
And not just tickets to the digital screening, but tickets to the in-person.
Oh, okay.
Marcus Garvey.
So what you need to do is put what? Okay, all right. Let's see. Let's see if we can get it done.
All right. So ready to award.
We're doing this live, and it's going to who?
Moi Fong.
What? Moi
Congratulations.
Fong. Oh wow, $500 cash plus tickets. Oh goodness, I'm gonna call her right after this. Is you need to get in touch with Ryan. That's amazing.
And congratulations. So for those that don't know about Real World Film Festival, it is starting this Wednesday on October 25th. They have the in-person screening.
Now, if we had some funding, we'd. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can call her right now.
Let's see if you grab her. Well, congrats, Moi.
Let's see if we can do this really in real time, like how they do in radio. You know how they call the person. So I'm going to do this in real time. Let's see if we get a hold of her. So this will be so much fun. It'll be a quick moment, and we're going to close up, family. Thank you so much, everyone who watched today. Let's see if Moi Fong. Are you watching the Morning Vibe? Okay. You're funny. Well, we just like Ryan Knight. You know what? I'm gonna Ryan Knight. Okay, say it loud, Ryan. I'll put my phone close to my speaker. Go ahead.
Hey, congratulations, Moi. We just did our draw for the ACBN Business Grant of $500 and the tickets to Real World Film Festival. You are our winner, so we congratulate you, and we will be sending you an email with the instructions later. But congrats. Thanks for joining the contest.
Oh, so she's saying what a beautiful Monday morning.
Hey, glad we could add to it.
Yeah. Yes, it is for real. $500 plus passes to the Real World Film Festival premiere of the Marcus Garvey movie. So Ryan will be in touch with you during the day. We just want to say thank you for supporting ACBN, and thank you for supporting the Morning Vibe.
That's so crazy. Love it.
All right, we'll talk with you later. Bye-bye. You're welcome. We've made someone's day. There we go.
And let's keep it, as we keep growing ACBN, we want to be able to do more of these giveaways. So stay tuned for the next one.
Right. Yeah. Next time we will put her on speakerphone and do that. But in lieu of time, we just wanted to get done right quick. But there we go. So Tim, thank you for the suggestion. I'd like to thank everyone who watched this live today. Make It Happen show. Tim, George, Christopher. And anyone else, if you watch I live on the replay, it's appreciated, not taken for granted. What's up for the rest of the week, Ryan?
Well, like I said, Real World Film Festival is starting Wednesday, so we'll be watching that. There's also a Hope Operation Summit. A gentleman I've been watching or following in the US, John Hope. He talks a lot about financial literacy, getting our credit scores up, and really building our businesses. So that's starting this week too. So looking forward to just observing and being part of that conversation. So what about you?
Wonderful.
Next Monday, ACBN is taking our team to go see this Marcus Garvey movie. So if you want to join us, get your tickets because we're going to be there in person.
Fabulous. That is great again. And also big thanks to Convo Media to make this epic conversation happen. Roger, Wendy, and the team, much appreciated, not taken for granted. If you're looking to get any publicity stuff done, go to Convo Media. They will take care of you and your client royally. So, as always, I end off my conversations like this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and we'll see you back on Friday. Hope you have an outstanding and blessed week. Be well, everybody. Keep the faith.